All right, welcome to the Noble and Nourished podcast. Ladies, I'm just already in awe. You guys that listen to the podcast know I tear up about all the things. And so today we have an amazing brand new friend. And as she said a second ago, spirit animal. Like, I feel like we already are on like a whole new level. Yes, but she's here today. We just met. We're going to go into all the details on how we met and how our conversation started. But Tiffany Simms, you're here today. You were joining the Noble and Nourished podcast. And so I just want to acknowledge you for taking time out today. Like, you just mentioned a second ago, you're like, I felt like total doo-doo yesterday. And you're like, hey, power through and got to show up and stay committed to what we plan and what we are disciplined in. But just thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So let's kind of dive in. Like, let's start with our story. And then I want to hear your story, like how you got started and what you do. But how did we meet? Kind of like, let's start there and then we'll kind of.
So Chase and I met in a mastermind challenge type group. We were both curious about running ads. We're both business owners. And we were like, all right, I feel like that business doesn't have to be as hard as it is. What is that fast cut way? Like, what do big real businesses know about advertising that I don't? And so we met in an advertising group, and I was making friends, and I slid in her DMs, and I was like, hi, we were on the thing. Do you want to be my friend? Like,
I love it. That is the best way to make friends, when you're like, oh, who is that person? I'm going to go follow them. And like the actual sliding in the DMs is like a real thing now. Like, it's how you make friends.
Because like as adults, like it is really hard to make friends. There aren't a group of people outside of your dorm like you were in college that you just kind of like tagged along if they were going to dinner and your friends weren't. Like, you don't have activities. And at least like most of us as adults, we're not signing up for kickball or paint classes, even though we should. But we're not. And so like, how else do you make friends, especially in business? Well, if you're in a group and there's like a core value alignment, you're there because you're both interested in a thing. Why not introduce yourself and be a human with another human on the world, in the planet? You know what I mean? And so I'm all about, I used to be so insecure about introducing myself to people in situations like that because thought it was like weird and cringy and like desperate. But the truth is that everyone just wants to connect with people that like share similar values and that they can vibe with. And so like, what is the shame in like going to say, hey, I was in this thing, I saw your face, I just thought I would say hi and get to know you as a person.
I know. Well, and I've actually, some of my closest friends now over the last couple of years, that's how it started. Like, because you grow at different paces too, right? And so even though you're an adult and you're doing all the things, and it's great to meet people at your kid's soccer game, but like in reality, like I'm like, man, I want to be around people that I'm vibing with, people that have the same like passion and vision for like the world. I'm like, get me in those spaces, and how can I connect with more like-minded women? I've done the same thing. Like, you just slide into their DMs and be like, hey, I saw you, like what you shared or how you showed up. Like, I want to be around that. And totally just act on that, like God-given feeling. Like, it's such a like Holy Spirit, like coming over you being like, hey, go talk to that person. So I'm so glad you did, because here we are, like now we're collaborating and sharing our stories and doing all the things. So how did you get started in what you're doing? So share a little bit about your kind of like your business and who you help, and then what started, like where'd you come from?
So how'd you get there? I love helping ambitious, driven, heart-centered women who want to go like make the world a better place. And whether it's because they're moms leading their households, or they're corporate CEOs at a company, or they're like you and I running businesses, the world told us that having ambition was like this dirty word, and that ambition was going to lead to burnout and exhaustion, and you're burning yourself at both ends of the stick. And like, when's enough enough? When will you ever be grateful for what you have in front of you? And it's like, who said I wasn't grateful? Like, I am so grateful for everything I've gone through, the good, the bad, the things that I don't even remember, like so grateful. But like, as you rise, you see new things, and then you think, that would be cool. Why not me? Or I didn't realize that there was another level of this. It feels really selfish to stay at this level and not stretch myself. And so like, those are my people. And back in the day, so I worked at, after college, I was a biochem major, and I worked at Johns Hopkins, the National Institute of Health. And then I spent 12 years as a nuclear chemist, keeping everyone's lights on. I worked at a power plant, and I developed a lot of skills in there. And one of it was learning how to take care of myself. And so I struggled with binge eating growing up. Looking back, I learned how to use food as a way to regulate my nervous system. I didn't know that when I was 10, but that was exactly what was happening. And every time, like, we had an anxious household, my dad left, my mom had feelings, like there was all of the things that life throws at you. And the one thing I had control over was how much I got to eat. And it controlled me to the point that like I would be in the pantry, stuffing my face, sick to my stomach, ready to throw up, sobbing, begging myself to stop. And I could not until the binge was over. Like no matter how much I begged myself, I couldn't. And so I was this chemistry person, this biology person. I was working in a lab and I was like, I need to check myself into an outpatient eating disorder center. Like, I don't think I need to go inpatient, but like what I've done so far isn't working and I can't live like this. This isn't working either. Maybe they can help me. And after a year of being told that I wasn't trying hard enough and I was lying to myself and getting put on things like lithium and like all of these medications that were supposed to help with my mental health disorder, that evidently I was bipolar, which was a misdiagnosis, and my eating disorder, like finally I was like, this isn't working either. I've got to figure this out on my own. And so I actually, with no intentions of it ever becoming a career path later, went and got certified as a personal trainer. I went and started taking nutrition classes. Like I was like, there has to be something that I don't understand that I can learn and teach myself how this works. And in that, I was like, holy crap. And I'm sure you can relate to this. Any woman who's ever been on a diet who has learned like a smidge about nutrition trying to help herself has like had that like mad at the world moment in the grocery store when they realized everything they thought they were doing to be healthy was just like really good marketing and that there was nothing healthy about the life they were living. And so I was like, so I went down this path, became a Beachbody coach for my own accountability. Like I loved it. And as I was trying to figure out how to make my Beachbody business work, because all of a sudden it was like, I don't think I went through all of that to just for myself. I really feel called to help people who've been where I was to see the other side. And so I went and got really nosy about how businesses worked. And I thought everyone was curious how they get a paycheck in their job. Because I was like, how does the power plant, how does Constellation Energy or Exelon Power when I worked for them, like how do they make money? How do we pay all of the departments and budget for the things? Like how does the board work? Like how does my paycheck get to me and how do I play a piece in that? Turns out not everyone has that curiosity.
They just go, yeah, they kind of just go on like autopilot. Like, oh, I just go and do my job, I get my check, and there's no conscious thoughts behind it.
Yeah, I go to work, you pay me, and obviously you have billions of dollars, and so like pay up, you know? But I had wanted really desperately to figure out how to make my Beachbody business work. And in that, and the reason I'm telling you this is the key framework that I learned, was that in that I realized that I had my own framework and that I hadn't saved myself the way that I was promoting to other people. That's how I maintained what I had. But when I really broke it down, I'm sitting there on the floor with these index cards trying to like, if I were to teach someone how to be healthy, like what are the pieces that I had to learn? And I'm like, it's like high school English in my living room on these index cards, like you used to write an essay. And I realized that there were 5 key elements and key habits to a healthy human. And it was gratitude, moving my body, asking myself if I could add a veggie to this. Like none of the containers or calorie tracking or any of the things, but it was like, can you add a veggie to this? How do you want to feel after you eat? And it was like, real. Did you drink your water? I think I said move your body. Anyway, all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, I spent all these years searching for the answers outside of me. And in reality, they were always inside of me. The world just taught me how to numb myself to my own intuition. And so I got really, really passionate about intuitive eating and that being like the key to unlocking the superpower of being able to walk into any room and know that you are you and that what you say is valid. Because I don't know about you, Chase, but like, I feel like I'm talking a lot. I usually sit on the other side of this. So it's like
I face over here because it's so much alignment.
I
So much
remember
alignment.
standing in
So it's so
boardrooms,
good.
like I was really good at my job in nuclear power. And there was always this doubt, like you only got your job because you're a woman, you check a box, or like no one can be that friendly and get work done. You must be doing something like really friendly. And so like there was always these like, I knew that the reason I was able to get work done was because I cared about people as people. And that I knew that the guy down the hall, his grandkids had a soccer game that he coaches. And so I would ask about it. But I knew that difference between like treating people as people and knowing how to share what was important to them when I needed help, not what was important to me, but like why this was going to be a win for them. And then knowing that because I had that relationship, that I could have those closed door conversations when we weren't meeting expectations. And back then it was like all this mental chatter of like, should you speak up? Oh no, there you did it again. Can't you ever just be quiet? Am I being too dramatic? Am I being too sensitive? Am I being whatever? And once I started learning how to trust myself with food and understanding why I needed a Snickers bar at 3 p.m. and learning what a better, like, I need energy. Well, you know what has energy? Sweet potatoes. I could have a sandwich or I could have a full meal and I don't have to feel bad about it. And as soon as I calmed that, all of a sudden, all of that mental chatter of me doubting myself was like starting to disappear. And then all of a sudden, it was like, I stopped second guessing myself because it's like, oh, I understand what my body is telling me. Now, when I get that uncomfy feeling in my belly, it's not me convincing myself that I'm being dramatic. It's like that moment to say, like, let's pause and assess what's happening. Is it a skill that you're lacking that's making you uncomfortable? Okay, well, we can go work on that. Is it the way that these people are talking to you that's making it uncomfortable? How do we address that without like being attackatory? Because I don't believe force ever fixes anything. There's a way to approach it. Or is it that I've outgrown this container and I've just been too scared to leap and to move myself because I've decided that people are going to think I'm better than them, or that whatever, any of the reasons that I have had. And so it's like that, knowing that success didn't mean sacrifice. And the only reason I was sacrificing was because I got lost along the way and I wasn't listening actually to what I wanted and why it was important to me. And it all landed then in food. Like, I ate my feelings.
Isn't that amazing? Like, I mean, if you kind of bird's eye view it, right? So like, I mean, in the moment, as you're going through all of that learning and experiencing and finding out what your body's doing and the mental and emotional battle that actually works together, and sometimes they fight each other, right? But like going through all of it, and then when you bird's eye view it and you step back now and you go, wow, so much of that was aligned and almost like started from like just the nutritional side, right? Where you really just paid attention to what your body's like, to your body, right? And I think I get frustrated when you mentioned earlier, you mentioned the grocery stores and like going in the grocery store and just being like, what? Because it's all it is marketing.
You can't be
Like that's
mad.
really
Like,
what it
that's
is.
business.
Well, and so, but like when you're in it and you're trying so hard to be healthy, to learn what health looks like, and you see all this stuff screaming at you, because I have been there too, where you're like out there and you're like, oh, well, this says heart healthy and this says
Fatty, sugar
organic and
free,
this says all
calorie free.
natural, and then all the things. There's so many things, which is why I like throw it all together and like teach people about like, hey, well, here's marketing, here's what marketing is, and what this actually means is this, right? But that's a whole nother topic. But when you go into that grocery store and you're overwhelmed and it's like the walls are eating you, and that anxiety, like, I'm not kidding. Like, I've been there so many times. And like when you're sharing that, I'm like, I can totally relate. But what's fun and what I love that you stopped and you said, you know what? I stopped listening to this external chaos, basically, is what's happening. It's external things that are, one, it's out of your control. And you said, hold up a minute. What's happening inside of me? And what is so, I just want to acknowledge you, because a lot of people will continue to just ignore it, continue to just like, oh, it's fine, it's whatever, like, and say it's fine, which I absolutely despise that phrase. It's fine. I'm like, no, that's not true. It is not fine. Like, let's unpack that. It's fine, right? But I love that you took a step back and you said, what can I do? What is my body trying to tell me? What can I learn from my body? Because it is so smart. It is so smart. And and the more, like, and I love that you were like, you know what? I was interested in it. And like, then I just kept diving in and diving in and diving in. And why are we not doing that? Like, why are more people not interested in, well, I think there's a shift in it. And maybe it's just because I surround myself by people that are like growth mindsets and like, oh, let's change it. Like, what are we doing to like be better at this? Right. But I do think there is right now happening. Like, I think actually I'm watching it. I do believe people are like, hold up a minute. Like, there's another way, like just like you just shared how your body, like once you started listening to your body and now you're on the other side of it. Like, what is your favorite part to kind of look back and go, that is so, like, I'm so proud of me. Like what part is kind of
Am
something
my
that lands
hero.
with you? Like
Like, this might sound crazy. I just did a post on this not that long ago where it was like pictures. I shared pictures of myself, like being 3, playing on the beach, and it was like different stages of myself. And like,
yeah.
I love her so much. She is the most courageous, brave, just resilient woman I have ever been known and privileged to know. And I know that people think that's weird, but she's my hero. I wouldn't be this version of myself without everything that she learned and went through and picked up herself and put herself back together when she was broken, when she didn't even know what the right next step was. But it was like, okay, well, this isn't where the story ends. Like, what are we going to do next? And not from a place of like looking back, watching her heal from that place of reaction, of like trying to protect herself and react and make sure that certain things didn't happen again, to learning that like other people's actions had nothing to do with her and that she could release it, and she didn't have to be this like castle with a moat, and that she really could just be herself and trust that we've gotten through everything we've gotten through now. So what will be different? Like if something bad happens, we'll get through that too. And I think it's just that you had mentioned like, why aren't more people waking up, or why aren't they? And I just think that I don't think it's their fault. Just like I don't think it was my fault that I believed what I believed back then, because we only know our surroundings. And so like I truly believed that they would never put anything on the shelf that would harm me. Like I thought truly, and this is not a bash, I think that everything has great intentions and execution sometimes gets mucky. Like I didn't think the FDA would let them put food on the shelf that was actually causing me internal harm. And I'd like to think that we just didn't know then. Like the studies hadn't been done. The side effects and the long-term effects just weren't clear. We thought that we were making progress and making food products more accessible to everyone, right?
Accessible.
But here we are, and like this, I used to think the hippies were weird and crunchy and like out there. And like, but that's the society, right? Where we shun people who live like that, who are a little bit more natural, down to earth, eating of the plants and not wanting the bag of Doritos. And I am in a stage now where it's like, when did eating carrots become like the invitation to ask someone if they're dieting? Like, why are we not asking people who, and I'll use Doritos because I love Doritos. There's a Cool Ranch dill pickle flavored one, delicious. I get them at Sam's Club. They're like a special edition, and they're like pickle and Cool Ranch. They're fabulous. So like I eat them, but like why don't we ever question that? And for those of us that do, we're like bad people to society. And I don't really know where I was going with that tangent, but I think it just comes down to just me knowing deep down inside of my soul that like this isn't quite right. And I don't know the answers. And so like what would happen if I just went and looked for them and like made my own playbook? And I don't know that I was doing that back then. But like now, as I'm a person who's like constantly looking for frameworks that help other people write recipes for their life, that is exactly what I was doing. It was like that. I hear you, but I just can't believe that to be true. And I am a scientist at heart. My degrees are in biology and biochemistry. I was a nuclear chemist. I love science. And all science is asking a question, running some experiments, changing some environmental factors, collecting data, and then making a conclusion with the information that you have in front of you. And so I really do approach my life as a scientist. Like I'm the scientist of my own life. There is no publication or anything out there that can tell me what my body's doing better than I can.
Amen. Amen. Well, and it's funny because when you think about when we don't know what's happening, or when we're feeling something off, or like internally for ourselves, right? And maybe we want to hit a goal. Maybe that's a weight loss goal. Maybe that's like minimizing the amount of like anxiety feelings that we have, right? Or something along those lines. So if we're feeling something, and when we're going through those motions of like, ugh, and we start looking externally and we start like, oh, what do I need to do? Sometimes we don't even trust ourselves. And I've been in that boat where I'm like, oh, who's going to fix me? What's the next diet I need to follow in order to like feel better, you know? And I've lived that life. Like it is part of my story.
Age,
yeah.
Like, and it was so innocent. And that this is no fault to like our parents and our teachers, but like from such a young age, as adults, our immediate response is to make it better. So when I fell and my knees throbbing and someone's saying like, no, you're fine, you're good. And all of a sudden everything in your body is telling you, I'm not good. But then you're starting
Not
to
good.
say like, oh, my body doesn't know. My body doesn't know what's real. It's wrong. Just like I cannot stand, and if you're this person, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. But I cannot stand people who celebrate being hungry. Like, oh my God, I am starving. I'm crushing my diet. Like, do you know how hungry I am? I must be burning all the calories. I'm losing weight this week. And it's like, do you not realize, like you mentioned earlier, our bodies are so freaking smart. Like, I'm blinking without telling it. My blood is pumping. I'm breathing. All of these things are happening without my input. Our bodies were designed to thrive, yet our whole life we were conditioned that they were wrong. So anytime your tummy growled, it was like, we just had dinner. You could not be hungry. Or like, don't drink too much, you're going to have to pee. Or that didn't hurt, brush it off. Or
you didn't eat all your food, so you have to keep eating. Like, that's also a thing, right? And I'm like, no, but I'm done. But like, no, you didn't eat all your food. Or if I want to go get a snack in a little bit,
that's like not really where it's at, and I didn't finish my dinner, that's the moment to be like, well, let's like go back to
that's
dinner,
another
right?
conversation.
Like, and then if you're still hungry, we can talk about that snack. Let's get some nutrients in you first. But like all of this stuff that said our bodies were wrong. Just like every time we had that red flag in our tummy when we were starting to date the wrong guy, and we were like, we're being ridiculous. We have no proof that something's wrong. You're just being insecure. You're in your head. Like, just let yourself be. And then months pass and exactly what you felt was true, but you had talked yourself out of it because you were just crazy. And it's like your body was, it knew. It didn't need the facts. It knew something was off. And we're like, it's just so smart and it wants to help you. It wants to help you. Just like that, like 3:00, all of a sudden you need the Diet Coke and the Fritos or the Diet Coke and the Snickers bar. You're not wrong for wanting it. Your body is asking for it because like, I need energy. Did you know that fiber-filled carbs are an energy source for your body? They break down into the energy molecules that your body needs to like run and operate. And so you just trained it to reach for the quick spiky stuff, when in fact all of a sudden you're like, I could actually eat a whole little meal right now, and then I don't hit the drive-through on the way home, and then I can have dinner and be present, and like I don't have to feel guilty about that or hate myself for falling off again. And it's like, oh, my body was just trying to help me. I just didn't know what it was. It's like having an infant. You don't know what the cries mean until you start listening and get to know it.
So good. That's so good. Well, and I think too, when as a mom helping, I think that conversation, because now like that you've gone through, exploring and understanding and paying attention. And especially when you put the reps in to actually pay attention to your body, you then get into a space of like, now I can teach others. And now I can start to share this like you have an understanding of what's happening. And so of course you want to share it. I got to like speak off, like I have to yell it off the rooftops because I'm like, how do people not know this? Right. And it's not that, again, as you said earlier, it's not their fault, but also it's our job as adults to like, what can we do better? How can we be better? How can we keep growing? What can we do to like take the next best step, make the next best decision? And we only can do that by continuing to feed ourselves with good things. Okay, not feed like food, but like
I was right there
with
with
feed
you.
our minds.
No,
you were with me, but I was like, wait. Yeah. So, but I think it really is like having deep discussions like this, like with people that are in a better place than you. And what I mean by better is like they're doing something different, right? Like right? And exposing yourself to deeper and more meaningful conversations so that then you're like, hey, I remember that one time that one lady like was saying on this one podcast, right? Like she said that she started paying attention to what her body was doing. And I'm like, oh, well, there you go. Like now they can remember and like start to dig a little bit deeper. And I think my next step here is like, it doesn't end with us. Like it doesn't end once we figure it out for ourselves, we're good to go. Like it becomes this ripple effect that we now start impacting others. We start having deeper conversations. Like I know my girls, like I have hardcore conversations with them around food. And my husband's like, I can't believe they're asking about the type of sugar that's in that jelly. I'm like, well, there's different types of sugar. And he's like, all sugar. Me and my husband are very different. He's coming around, but like, he's like, all sugar's sugared. I can't believe you're doing that. Like, what kind of things are you creating for our girls? And I'm like, I'm giving them the tools. Like, I wish I would have had the tools as a little person, right? To understand like there are differences and we don't use like bad food, good foods. I use good, better, best. Like I put it into like a little package, not packages, but little containers for their brain, meaning good, better, best. Like, what's the best option? And if they're at a birthday party and they're like, I want a cupcake. And I'm like, okay, you can have a cupcake. And they're like, well, what? And my 9-year-old's kind of doing this a little bit more than my other ones, but she's like, where does this one go? Is this a good, better, best option? And I'm like, what do you think? Like, where do you think that cupcake might live? And she's like, probably just
So
a good option. I'm like, yeah.
I love
I go, but you
of the
can have the
cupcake
cupcake.
too, because I think this is really important for women to understand that when you learn to start listening to your body and start thinking about like, how is this going to make me feel? Because there are times where my mom will be like, are you really going to eat that? And I'm like, yes, I am.
Like,
and it's not because I'm calculating cheat days in my head or figuring out how many burpees I'm going to need to do or what I'm going to have to skip tomorrow. It's in that moment. There are so many times now where like, if you ask me for a cupcake right now, as I was sharing with Chase, like I slept on my bathroom floor last night. I don't feel good. I'm going to puke. Like, so if you ask me if I want a cupcake right now, my tummy's going to go, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Like it's going, no, thank you.
But I don't want a
Whereas
cupcake.
like maybe tomorrow I'm in a different space and all of a sudden you offer it to me and it's like, I would love that. And it's because like, but there are other times without ever thinking, I spent so much time trapped in my head. I didn't know how to exist because I was so always thinking about like what I could or couldn't eat, should or shouldn't eat. And now it literally is someone puts something in front of me and it's either a yes or no. And it has no, where does this fit in my macros? What kind of sugar? Like I don't have any of that anymore. And some days the cupcake's going to be a yes. And there's other days where I'll be like, I'm good. And there's no internal dialogue. Like I'm in the conversation. And it is such a freeing space to be. But it comes back to like, I've defined what healthy means to me. And it is no longer how fast I can run, how much I can squat, like what I weigh or the size of my pants. I am a very healthy, solid size 12. I've been larger, I've been smaller, but I have never been more whole and at peace in my life. And it's not because I don't care and you only live once. It's because I care so much that everything is like according to my definition. And for me, health is how well I can create harmony between my health, my relationships, and the way I earn money. Because if they're not ebbing and flowing and they don't feel good and they're competing for my mental space and my resources, well, then I'm not healthy because I don't feel like a whole person and I'm exhausted and I feel like I'm failing at everything.
So when you talk about how do you balance some of that for you, or even like when you work with your clients, so meaning the balance concept, because I think that's a lot of what the women listening struggle with. And I know I've had my years and not all the time is our schedule perfectly balanced, but I've learned some things over the years. Yeah. But for you, and maybe some things that you teach your clients, what are some things that you help them discover in concerns to some of those
For
balances?
me, it starts with defining it for yourself. And so I call it the life GPS. It's yours. And it's why, like, for me, I'm no longer in the season of handing people recipe cards with like the perfect answers. I've been there. I've done it. I'm just as guilty as the next for like, here's the perfect morning routine. Here's the perfect meal plan. If you're struggling, like it's because you're not doing the workouts I just told you to do, or you're not doing the thing, like here's the recipe, follow it. Because yes, there's so much truth in that. Discipline and willpower, it can get you a lot of results, but they're not yours to keep because discipline and willpower are not a long-term strategy. And it is the reason why you constantly feel like you're starting on Monday because the things that you're doing were not yours and you are not in full alignment with why you're doing it. We're doing it because we hate something about ourselves that like, I have to make myself miserable to get the thing and then I can have X, Y, and Z. And so like, it's not like you honestly do not care how much you weigh. There's a life that you feel that you don't have in the body that you have right now that you will have when you get there. And so like, it starts with that. So like, what is that life GPS? And so I encourage people like sit down with a piece of paper and you're going to start at the top. What does healthy mean to me? If no one can read what I write on this paper, because that's important, what does healthy really mean? And there's been seasons in my life where healthy meant I used to have to hike 4 flights of stairs to get to my desk after walking a mile into the power plant. And so like I would be sweaty and out of breath and I was embarrassed by it. So for me at one stage, healthy was being able to get to my desk without having the boob sweat to start my day at 6 a.m. and without panting at the top of the stairs, hoping no one was there holding the door where they could see how out of breath I was. Then there have been other seasons where it was like, I want to be able to finish. I've run over 250 miles through Disney World. And so it's like, I want to do that challenge, or I want to do this. And I want to just see if I can do it. So healthy for me was like being able to run without feeling injured and hating myself at the end. And just last year, healthy for me, the reason I'm sharing all of this is because I wish someone had shared these inside thoughts of like what those different definitions were at the different stages when I was struggling. And so like last year for me, I was still really working on healing my relationship with food and exercise and just learning how to be. And so healthy for me was moving my body every single day in a way that made me feel joy and energy and excited. So like some days that was a walk, other days it was dancing with the dog, some days it would be getting on my bike or lifting weights. Like I gave myself permission to just move my body, not do a specific program. Whereas right now, healthy for me, my body's like, this has been working so well, we're good. But like, I kind of miss some of our athleticism. I feel a little like lead-footed. I'd like to be a little springier again. And I feel like my hips are getting tight, so I want to work on my mobility. So here I am. I'm 32 days into a 100 workout program that I could not for the life of me force myself to do 5 years ago. But because it's aligned with my intentions, and it's not because I hate myself, but because I love myself, and these are the things that are important to me in my health, like it makes sense. And so what is healthy? Is it tying your shoe without feeling like you're going to pop? Is it getting on the floor with your dog or the kids, running around the backyard? That's for you to decide. And then you're going to do the same thing with your relationships. Like, what does a healthy relationship feel like to me? Who am I surrounded by? What kind of activities are we doing? What does love feel like? What do I want my relationships with my coworkers to be? And like, you are literally going to define what your success markers for relationships are, including what words do I want people to describe me with when I'm not in the room. And when you define that for yourself, magically in a few months, people will start telling you the words you wrote down without you ever saying them to them. Like for me, I have an index card on my computer, and it says, the purpose of my life is to shine energetically with pride and confidence, to foster community and hold space for others to be seen and live a big, bright, joyful life. In fact, people now tell me like, you bring so much energy to a room. I didn't even know you, but I felt so safe. Like, and it's so cool to hear that, because you're like, I didn't tell them that those were my core values, but like I started showing up as that person and people received it. And then your career, like, what do you want your relationship with money to be? What do you want your career to be? Why is that important to you? What will that promotion, that raise, that endeavor, what's it going to bring to your life that helps you get to your final destination? And then when you put the you in the middle of that, like, I love the water. I love Run Disney. I love the color pink and to feel playful and silly. And I love to color and like love bubbles. And so like those are the me things. And when you put that in the middle, now all of a sudden you have your own compass and GPS, and everything from job opportunities to PTA requests to like, do you want the cupcake or not? It all becomes a yes or no, because it's like, does this help me get to my destination? Yes or no. Now I don't have to have the mental load in my head anymore. I don't have to have the checklist, because everything literally gets taken care of in the moment. And I have that harmony. It's no longer like jumping island to island, dumpster fire to dumpster fire, hoping the other pieces hold on, and no longer feeling shame when someone says, congratulates me, because in my head I was thinking, well, if you only knew all the ways I was failing, you would never celebrate me for this. But now I get to like be it, because like all of my life is whole and I'm a whole person everywhere I go. And it starts with the GPS. That was
I love it. No, I love it. I was tearing up. And again, if you watch this on YouTube, you can see me constantly like wiping my eyeballs.
That was like pure flow.
When you say, like,
I don't know how long I just talked at you.
Love it.
I
don't know. Like, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Pure flow from the universe to your heart.
I absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because when you think of, it's so much clarity, like you can take so much action when you have clarity of who you are, who God designed you to be, and what path you're just following his path for yourself. And when you do that, like, and you were just saying like, hey, you write these things down, like they don't come from nowhere. You know what I mean? Like they literally are like written on your heart. And it's like, okay, I'm going to write these things down. I'm going to acknowledge these things. And if something comes my way and it does not align, then I'm not going to do it. Right. And being in a space of like, it's okay to say no. And sometimes, like, I love how you mentioned, like, how you want people to feel being around you. I think that's so important because it's not just about us, right? Like, we are designed to be in community with other people. And especially, and I say like women being around women, like, I feel we are called to be in more community, which I think community is for everybody. But I highly feel that there is a space for women and like this emotional space that we're already a nurturer by design, right? And we already are in a space of like wanting to heal and help and give and whether we are living in masculine or not or whatever, like all those things and all the different personalities come into aspect. But when you think of the root core and the emotional state that a woman is designed in, we are meant to be in community. And I love that you put part of your vision and part of like what you want to create is the type of person people view you as and how they feel. Not necessarily like, oh, I want them to think this of me. Like, you're like, no, I want them to feel seen. And I think that is so beautiful because again, just being in spaces where I've done a lot of work, right? I've done a lot of work, and I know you've done a lot of work on the emotional state, the mental state, on a growth mindset. And once you start doing a lot of those internal work, you start to see a lot of spaces where you're like, I want that person to see what I see. Like, I want them to feel that they are capable of doing whatever they want to do. And like, they are capable of making a decision and not feeling bad about the decision that they're making. Like, I absolutely love it. This was
right now, I feel like we are living in a society of like, you got to fill your cup first. And like, it's okay to be selfish. It's not selfish. Like, the reason women pour into other people, I believe this to my core to be true. I believe that we pour into other people and we drag them along and we sacrifice ourselves for them because we believe in abundance and we truly believe that there's room for everyone to win. I think that is something that makes women very special. We don't really see competition the way that men see it, right? And so we want everyone to win. And we think that to help them win is to like save them. But in fact, the power that you actually hold is you being able to become the person that leads by example, not because you told them or you did it for them, but that you are like paving the way for them to follow effortlessly because you're modeling the way forward. And I think that that is how we as women like elevate and evolve society, is by stepping into that power of like, not leading so that because people should follow us, but leading to leave a path of breadcrumbs for other people to like pick up and come with us. It's a little easier than we had it.
Because once you learn something, like we shared earlier, like you just want to keep sharing it and the ripple effect continues to go on and it's just so good. Okay. So I want to ask one thing, like, what is a household of health to you?
And then we'll kind of close up. Household of health. Mm-hmm. That is, I don't know that I have never been asked that question. When I think about a household of health,
put you on the spot.
My house starts with me is the first thing that's really coming in. And like, I need to, like we mentioned earlier, know what my GPS is. And I need to be paying attention and know that when things are off and I'm starting to feel maybe some burnout or some resistance and things are starting to feel icky, that it's that moment of pausing. And that means that somewhere one of my success markers in my 3 buckets has changed and I didn't update the plan. And so that pausing, and by doing that, that means the rest of my house gets to learn how to do that for themselves. And then that piece of like just the respect of learning how to ask questions when you're curious about why someone's doing it in a way that doesn't make the other person feel defensive for why you're asking that question. And so like curiosity and tone, I think also plays into that like health of a household.
I love it. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. So I know people are going to want to be in your space. So how can they find you? What are all the things? And of course, they're going to be dropped in the show notes. But like, give a quick verbal.
Every woman I talk to says, if I had more time, I could X, Y, and Z. Like if I just had 5 minutes, I could change the world. And so I want to help you get an hour back in your day as soon as tomorrow. And so just message me the word time over either on Instagram or Facebook. They're my 2 favorite platforms. It's at the Tiffany Simms, SIMMS. Message me the word time and I'll send you my time hacks guide. It has my 3 best time hacks that I've learned in all of the years. And like literally you can get an hour back tomorrow. It's so, so good. Hack number 3 is life-changing. So yeah, come be my friend. Come say hello. I don't bite. I just want to be human.
Slide into our DMs, ladies.
I'm always looking for new friends.
That's so good. I love it. Thank you so much.